about goddamn time we talked about Amityville 1992. It's about time. Released, I don't know, I guess 1992. And in my humble opinion, one of the upper tier Amityville movies. Which you know, not a very high compliment, because most of these movies are total trash anyway. But you know, there was moments in this movie.
This movie, I don't know how this movie was made. And the only thing that makes sense is that they were trying to make a Amityville horror movie, and like they finally got the approval. They're like, "Oh, we're gonna make another Amityville. What should we call it?" And then like the Office writer jokester was like, "It's about time." And they're like, hold on. I think he's onto something. And then they worked from there. Like, this movie absolutely had title first, storyline after. And
I will say this much, and then I'm going to pass it to Scott to say why he picked this. But
wait, I picked this?
Yeah, this was a you pick.
I didn't even know I picked.
Yeah. This is probably my favorite of the covers of Amityville movies. And I don't really know why. I think it's just the color scheme that they use.
Because it's a Goosebumps cover.
But yeah, like the VHS cover for this, I always really liked. All right, Scott. So you had this on your list. I had purchased it, watched it, and said, yeah, we could probably get an episode out of it. And then you threw it a lot higher on your list. So what made it even appear on your list at all to start with?
You're asking the wrong person. I don't have an answer for that. I think it's because when I was working on planning out Horrors 2, or maybe I was, it was after I did Horrors 2, because for any new listeners, I have a instrumental, well, mostly instrumental project called Console Crash, and every spring for Monster Mania, the first con of the year for us, I debut a new EP called Horrors, and it's chronological, like Horrors 1, 2, 3, and this coming year in 2020 will be the fourth one. And after Horrors 2, I had a bunch of leftover songs, and when I was planning out Horrors 3, I expanded the list, and I was like, what are good theme songs? Because all of the Horrors stuff is metal-ish covers of theme songs from horror movies, like Halloween and Shopping Mall and stuff like that. And so when I was putting together Horrors 3, I was like, oh, Amityville 92 has a great theme song, because I was Googling, like I was on YouTube, whatever, and that came up, and I was like, I've never watched it, but I've heard that it's pretty wild, so it'll go on my list. And it was down near the bottom. And then I didn't use it for Horrors 3, and I don't know why. I don't know what brought it. I mean, that's your answer of why it was on my list, but I don't know how it got from being on my list to on your radar. But then it got on your radar, you watched it, you said it was pretty wild. And
because Becca McKendry kept talking about it on Facebook. And also the director of it was a big factor, because the director of this is Tony Randall. And Tony Randall's real career started with Hellbound Hellraiser 2.
Ooh, yeah.
So he did that. Then he did two movies that I'm going to come back to. But he did Amityville 1992, and then he followed it up the following year with Ticks. So I was like, all right.
He did Ticks!
Yeah, so I'm like, all right. So the guy who did Ticks and Hellbound did an Amityville movie, and I remembered the back of the box having like a really stretched out melted face on it. And I'm like, this has to be really, really good. So I bought it, and it's fine. It's better than like most of the Amityville movies.
Wait. Did you do Amityville 4?
No.
So there's this. Is it Amityville?
This is technically 5. Amityville 4 was a TV movie.
Oh, that's the one that had. Wait, okay. So let's get the chronology straight here. I'm sorry. So Amityville 1 is the one with Lois Lane in it, right?
Yes.
And then the second.
That's the one that's based on the book.
Yeah, by
whoever.
Yeah.
And then Amityville 2, which I think is the best of the franchise, but we will not talk about it because there's so much incestual rape in it.
That's why it's in this one. Okay.
Yeah. that's the story. That's the story of the kid who killed his family.
Okay, so it's the prequel, basically.
Yeah, so there's that one. Then it's followed by Amityville 3D: The Demon,
which is on someone's list.
It is. And that one is maybe worth watching. Brian's.
Oh, okay.
Then there was the TV movie Amityville 4: The Evil Escapes. Oh, this is part 6 technically.
Holy hell!
So then there was part 5, The Amityville Curse. Then there was Amityville 6, It's About Time. Amityville 7, A New Generation.
And that's the one with the mirror, right?
I think
they
so,
They went away from the house to just doing shit about, like, possessed objects. It's really funny.
Yeah. And then Amityville 8, Amityville Dollhouse.
Yeah, so they did 3 about possessed objects.
Yeah. That's haunted by a dollhouse replica of the Amityville house, possesses their house. And then it gets even more insane, because then there's the remake. And then I think people realize, yeah. And after that is when people realized, hey, Amityville's just a town, so they can't own the copyrights to the name Amityville. So that's where we got Amityville Haunting, Amityville Asylum, Amityville Death House, Amityville Playhouse, Amityville The Vanishing Point, the Amityville Legacy, the Amityville Terror, Amityville No Escape, Amityville Evil Never Dies, Amityville Exorcism, Amityville Prison, Amityville The Awakening, Amityville Mount Misery Road, and the Amityville Murders. All
Holy
between
fucking hell.
And that was all from 2011 until 2018, what I just listed.
That was like 10 movies in 4 years?
Yeah, because people realized that they didn't have to pay anything to use Amityville in the name of a movie.
And they're all on Netflix.
Yeah. But yeah, so, this movie's not great.
This movie is a fucking blast, all right? Like, I don't know how many times I'll watch it again because there's incest. Well, implied incest. But this movie was definitely entertaining. For me,
it's got I think it just gets slow at points, but when it's like ramped up, it's real fun.
It just doesn't make any fucking sense.
No, it doesn't make it
matter. Has that ever mattered for horror movie night?
No, but this is just like it really is like a Goosebumps episode that was made into a very, very long movie
with some boobies.
Yeah,
with some boobies.
So question because you guys watched like a stream of it, right?
I watched it on Prime.
Yeah.
Okay, it was on Prime.
Free on Prime if you decide, the listener, listener, right now, you want to go watch the movie and then listen to us talk about it. It is free on Amazon Prime.
So, question about the title card: did your title card include 1992 in the title or no?
I believe
Amityville 92. It's about time.
Yeah.
So on the DVD, they felt like that would date the movie. So there's just Amityville with you can kind of see the outline of the black box that they digitally put over top of the 1992, and It's About Time underneath.
You know what really dates the movie? The movie.
The movie screams 1992 in every scene.
So,
but yeah.
I will say this movie was entertaining. It wasn't like painful to watch, but what just drove me crazy was, I don't know if you would consider her a final girl, but the main woman in the movie, she's just such a bad person.
Andrea.
Andrea.
She's a bad person.
She's a bad girlfriend, man.
Yeah, she's literally starts off the movie. Well, here's the thing. Starts off the movie on a good note. Ex-boyfriend's going away, but she's still willing to babysit the kids. That's a pretty good person move. Then has sex with ex-boyfriend despite the fact that she's got a new boyfriend. Bad start. Or off to a bad start in the sweatiest sex scene I've ever seen in my life.
So sweaty. Yeah. And then, listen, this movie, we can jump around in this movie. And then later on, ex-boyfriend gets sick, brings new boyfriend to ex-boyfriend's home, and fucks him in her ex-boyfriend's house.
No, here's the really fucked up part. She fucks her new boyfriend in her ex-boyfriend's daughter's bed.
Yeah, even worse. Like, she's just a bad person.
I feel like
and
just took that beat to like process what
Yeah, but it's like, and then even on top of it, like, ex-boyfriend, he seems like he's a little bit of a douche, whatever, but still like, hey, I got viciously attacked by a dog. I need a ride to the hospital. And it's like, I told you before, I'm not dealing with your bullshit. And it's like, I am bleeding to death.
Dude, one of the most vicious dog attacks I have ever seen in a movie.
Was anyone prepared for it, or were they just thinking like, oh, this dog's going to chase him home because it's a ghost?
I thought
and
he
not
was
a real
going to
dog?
jump the fence. I thought he was going to find him and he's going to jump the fence, but no, that dog.
There's a shot where it looks like the dog literally ripped his leg out of socket.
Yeah.
Like,
I thought that he was going to get killed. I was like, I can't believe that the foreman from Graveyard Shift is getting killed in the first 10 minutes of this film.
Not just the foreman of Graveyard Shift. It took me way too long to realize he's Sean's dad from Monster Squad.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I didn't even know that. It's because without that main accent, it's hard to tell. I mean, are you trying to tell me that this guy's an actor who can do accents?
Well, it depends on what you mean by can do accents.
Well, did you recognize
Mock to like do is like turn to the camera and go, "The soil of a man's heart is stony."
Yeah. See, there are certain people I love their accents.
Did you recognize the daughter? Because if not for her name being in the credits, I wouldn't have recognized who it was.
She's very familiar.
It's Megan Ward,
yes,
who's the girl from PCU, Encino Man, and Freaks.
Yeah, that's right. Megan Ward is in PCU. That's what I was.
Yeah,
she's in Freaked. It's been so long.
She's the girl that gets mutated with the other guy from Blossom to be a two-headed creature.
Wow. You know what? I got to give her major props because she is a very sweet-looking girl that would do anything in the 90s for a movie. Like anybody that was in Freaked gets my immediate stamp of approval because it was so out there of a movie.
Yeah, so they'll just be like, I'm in. Ballsy.
I mean, fucking Keanu was in it.
Yeah, he was like, I'll do it, just don't tell anybody.
and no one really knew until like the DVD commentary. I had no clue until then.
Can I say the internet makes shitty people famous often, and I am so glad that even though Keanu Reeves is already famous, I'm so glad that there's this wave of just loving Keanu Reeves because he is one of the most genuine people this world has
just
ever
a nice
with.
dude.
But he's also like, he gave away all of his Matrix money to people that worked on the effects, right?
Special effects.
Like he's just a genuinely incredible human being.
He just lives in a modest apartment in New York.
What?
Like
he doesn't even live in LA.
I don't think he lives in LA. Maybe it's LA. Wherever he lives in like a small apartment.
It's New York because there's so many videos of him giving up his seat on the subway, and just the fact that he even like rides the subway itself is incredible. But like he's always the one. You can find so many videos of like an old woman or a young child getting on the subway, and he's the first person to stand up.
Yeah, he's just he's a solid. Well, and that's because he's had so much like depressing things happen in a quick succession that he was just like, all right. His family, I think his parents died. I don't know if that was definite, but like his sister died when he was just about to become famous, and then the girl that he was engaged to got in a car accident and died. And like,
holy shit!
And it was like a bunch of people died. So for him, it was like, I don't need this money, so I want to give it to people who do need this money, like kind of attitude. And that's where it was like, I will live exactly the means that I need to survive, and anything extra that I make will just be put to like good things. So that's why like he rides the subway instead of driving like a big car. He'll just live in an apartment in New York instead of like a mansion in Los Angeles. Like he's just all about keeping things very by what the needs is that he has, not the wants.
That's so crazy because like think about how much better even America, not even the world, just America.
Yeah. How if much celebrities just did that.
Well, even half of what he does. You know, like if they were just a little bit more charitable and humble. But again, how many people are going to do the things that need to be done to become a household name and not have a massive ego? Like he is a total freak of nature in the best
it is.
Way.
It's insane. It's insane. But that's why I think we love, and I think that's why people stopped giving him shit about his weird acting choices in like the 80s and 90s, because it's like, well, you know what, fuck it, he's a nice dude.
I want him to be successful. What movie were people giving him shit for?
I feel like people give him a lot of shit specifically for Bram Stoker's Dracula and his like surfer voice.
Oh yeah, Bram Stoker's Dracula that is the one they give him a hard time for. But like, the thing is that he's done weird movies all the time. Like he did Devil's Advocate, and that movie is forgotten. Like that is a totally forgotten movie, but that had Al Pacino, Charlize Theron in it, and Keanu.
Yeah.
And who talks about that movie? I mean, it's not a good movie, but who talks about that movie?
Speaking of Keanu Reeves, Amityville 1992.
Listen, we're talking
We're
about
allowed to
Stephen
get off
Mock's
track
first.
for him. Yeah.
We are. He
Yeah.
is. So I want to talk about there's the punk rock heavy metal son.
You know who that band is that Skull Crusher, you know who that actually was?
Who is that actually? Because I knew you would be able to tell us.
Okay, well, so it's the Lemonheads, which is hilarious.
Oh, because they used to be like a punk thrash band before they got all like folky.
Yeah. So the funny thing is when you watch Amazon Prime, there's this thing called X-Ray where it just gives you like the IMDb shit. It tells you who's on screen at any given time. Amityville 92, no one cared enough to put anything on it except for 2 credits, which is so funny because Stephen Mock is a pretty big name. Megan Ward is a relatively well-known name, but like nothing except for 2 things. It says the Lemonheads, and then it says that Angelina Jolie was in this movie as Girl in Car.
Nice.
But yeah, so that band Skull Crusher with a K, that was the Lemonheads. And there's this amazing part where Rusty, the punk rock brother, grunge brother, who is so well spoken. He's my favorite character in the movie. He's talking to Andrea, and they're walking down the street because he like skipped school and went to go see the old lady. Exposition old lady is what I said.
Yeah.
And so he's talking to Andrea, and he's like, it's like that Skull Crusher song. Evil rules. It has the tools. The world is yours, so grab her and hoist her. I'm like, what? No, that's not. I didn't do enough research because I didn't care to see if that really was a lyric, and I also don't know if Skull Crusher was the Lemonheads' name before they were the Lemonheads.
No, they were always the Lemonheads, and I only know that because of there's a book that I used to read called Hairstyles of the Damned, which
you
took
talked
place.
about that before.
Yeah, it's like an 80s punk book, and they talk about how much they love the Lemonheads, and it has lyrics of like the old Lemonhead songs from the late 80s in it. So if you Google it, it's like, yeah, they were always the Lemonheads from like 1984 until they became famous. I love his story where he's just randomly talking about a poodle that eats its owner, and it seems like that story's going nowhere.
And he's like, and the lady died, and fuck this, she's kibble. I wrote that line down.
Yeah. He's like, but what I always wonder is like, at what point do you decide that it's time to eat your owner? You know what I mean?
And guess what part she started on? And then and you don't find out. That's the true horror of this movie is you don't know.
But it's shortly after that story and the dog attack that we get introduced to Leonard, who he has the intensity of, and this is going to be the second time that I reference Ghostbusters in 2 weeks, but he has the intensity of the EPA guy who shuts down the Ghostbusters thing. And like, I have so many quotes written from him. Like at first he's just like, if you want me to, just give me the sign, and I have a friend who I can get him committed. He's just
but
like,
it's so weird because I can't tell if it's because he's acting shittily or because it was the script was odd, but I can't tell if he's making jokes or being serious ever.
No, never. The best line that he has, though, is he's freaking out and he goes, and Lisa's the only normal one, and that's because I haven't met her yet. It's like he is so just amped to 11 this entire movie.
Oh, there's that part where he goes, is he violent? Is he violent? And then he gets Thorazine and injects. So Stephen Mock, the dad, is now possessed by the clock, and he's obsessively like making an Amityville suburbia, which suburbia is already hell. I get what you're trying to say, Amityville writers. I get it. But then he like tries to choke out Andrea when she's calling for help, and then they tie down the dad and inject him with Thorazine, which looks like red Kool-Aid, and I'm pretty sure it's clear. I don't think that it has food coloring in it, but he's like, he'll be out like a light. And then but this is right after I think Leonard meets Rusty, and Rusty's playing his stupid dragon guitar. Oh man, his riff sucks so bad. And he goes, nice shoes, Lenny. And then it actually cuts to the shoes, and it's these loafers. So I'm like, what? You actually wasted celluloid on that joke? Oh,
well,
man.
and that's so it's when Leonard's there. He's having like an outdoor date with.
Best part of the movie. Best part of the movie.
We get a cameo from none other than Dick Miller.
Yes. So I had a note at the very beginning. My first note is, it sucks to watch this movie and know that the best part of the movie is past once you get through the opening credits because the theme song is so good. And then I'm like, okay, I take it back. Best part of the movie is Dick Miller.
Dick Miller. Which, side note, maybe I just don't know fire that well. That fire does not seem that intense to warrant that many people in the backyard to put it out.
Well, you grew up in suburbia, so you should know this, but everybody's a nosy fucking Nelly in suburbia.
That's true.
They got nothing better to do than all gather around when there's a swastika painted on somebody's. That's also weird because, like, wow,
that's a little bit more justified. If there was a swastika painted on someone's house, I would also be like, "What the fuck happened here?"
Why are they all out during the middle of the day?
It's suburbia. You're going on walks.
They don't have jobs.
No. But yeah, this is where like. We start to keep building that Rusty's the killer, and Rusty's so self-aware.
Wait, dude. There's nowhere in this movie is it implied that he's making it happen. It's very obvious.
No.
Everyone else, the neighborhood thinks that Rusty's the bad one, and he even says, "I didn't do any of these things." The clock's making it seem that way. Like he's just like not even remotely trying to like put it in terms where it makes him not sound cuckoo crazy.
Yeah.
Nice pun.
Pun intended. But then I think the clock's like, well, we're not going to get to Rusty. Let's go for Lisa instead.
Oh, man.
And there's this weird touching herself scene.
It's an interpretation of masturbation.
Yeah. I mean, Brian, you're our editing expert. If you can take this scene and put the Divinals touch myself underneath it.
Dude, I'm not even good at it, and I could do that.
Yeah, and you always like test me with these complicated edits that aren't complicated at all.
I know. I just like
I'm
just giving you things to do because I love you. But when her mirror self reaches out of the mirror, it's like, "Are you afraid of the dark?" Goosebumps level special effect. It's real bad. But then
she gets infected from the vagina up by
becomes a bad girl.
Terrible hair and eyeshadow. That green eyeshadow is just not looking good.
It's a look for sure.
It's a look. But that's when the little old lady realizes what's going on, and for that she is murdered by a stork statue.
Man,
I like that death because it was such a dumb bait and switch.
It felt like it should have been in Sleepwalkers.
Yeah,
it feels like it's out of like it's like a Final Destination movie, but like they weren't trying very hard.
Also, if she was laughing and she saw the bird basically getting ready,
why not move? All she had to do was roll over.
She dove away from a speeding car.
But she can't roll out of the way of a stork. And the stork POV shot.
Actually, it's my new favorite kill. I think
I was gonna say, Scott, that's the moment when I messaged you and said, "Yeah, we could talk about this on the show if you want."
For 2020 SDCC, I think that this movie has to be one of the cards we do, just so that I can put the picture of the card or the stork.
Oh God. Then so she dies. Rusty gets like arrested. But I don't remember how he gets out of jail. He's just there at the end.
Yeah, I don't either.
But this is when we jump to Lisa's date with Andy, who's wearing... So here's the thing with Andy. Andy's wearing a starter's jacket, which implies that he's, like, athletic. But he talks like a total loser. Like, he's just like, "I thought I'd park where your dad can't see us."
Which is literally right in front of the house.
Yeah. And she's like, "Very smart. Very astute." But his death is awesome.
Yeah,
like,
I do think that his death is really cool because it makes zero sense.
Oh, absolutely. But like him in like that, like that's the image of his face when he's screaming and it's being all stretched out was like the back of this box, like down the side of the VHS cover was that image. So that's what was always burned into my brain with it, was like, oh man, some crazy shit happens with this guy. And it's super tame in reality.
Yeah, it really is. They caught the one still that was cool, and they were like, "This is the money shot."
But this is like, now we're at the end of the movie. Things are getting crazy. The infected leg is just like
well, you're
disgusting and gnarly looking now.
You're definitely missing one thing before the infected leg, man. It's so horrible.
Oh,
it's so horrible that you're my brother. Oh. You know, I don't think I really can handle Amityville movies because there's definitely a vein of incest that runs through them.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to talk about Leonard getting scared in the bathtub.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
He's dead.
I love him like the goop, and he's just like, It was very Ghostbusters 2 for me, so I hope that neither of you were going to use that as your double feature because I'm not. But
no, I got one. I got a. Don't you worry. So this is when finally they're like, you know what, Rusty might be right.
No, you're missing another kill before the Rusty might be right part. When he unplugs his guitar cable and shoves it in his sister's mouth and electrocutes her because
that's right.
That's not how electricity works.
Not even a little bit.
Oh my god. That is the most not inappropriate, but like unbelievable kill I think I've ever seen for horror movie night.
Yeah.
Like I can
Death by stereo.
So Davey Havoc has a Death by Stereo tattoo on the back of his leg, which I always thought was pretty cool.
Nice.
Because I like that band and I like AFI and I like Davey Havoc because he's beautiful.
In other news, on the Hard Times, I just saw that they had a brilliant headline that said Danzig's directorial debut to premiere at Mystery Science Theater 3000.
I've heard it's so bad.
Shocker.
It was
so
I can't even. Veronica. It's supposed to be like erotica, but Veronica or something.
Something like that, yeah. I'm sure it's trash. So yeah, we get to suddenly everyone's like, you know what? Some strange things are happening around this house. So finally, Andrea and Rusty are trying to stop this clock, and it turns Rusty into a little baby, and then it turns her into an old lady.
Yeah.
But before that happens, she smashes through the wall and sees that the clock has now taken over most of the house in an effect that looks like it cost approximately $10 at Home Depot.
Don't talk shit, dude. It's clever.
But yeah, she is this old lady for a shot and then sets the house on fire, and that explosion is also a very dated special effect.
That explosion is only one step below Freddy exploding in Freddy's Dead.
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah. But through the explosion, she travels back in time where she can stop the clock from being placed in the house. But none of the other character development matters at all.
Well, that's what's so funny is that, like, Brian was right. She's kind of a shit person because she doesn't like she likes Rusty. But she just like runs away at the end. Here's that disappointed me, but I was really excited when the end loop began because she was holding the that utensil, you know, like that T shape, that whatever it is.
Yeah.
The T-shaped yardstick, and he goes, what do you have that for? And she goes, protection. And I was like, oh shit, has she already been in an infinite loop and the clock has just been fucking with her? Which would be a much better, much darker film, but at the end it's not.
Yeah. Oh well, it definitely would be darker if it was just the loop starts all over again.
But everybody lives in this. Everybody lives.
Yep. Everybody lives. Lady wasn't killed by a stork.
So disappointing.
Sister wasn't blown up by a amp. But all in all, I still stand by this is in the upper tier of Amityville movies.
I had a blast.
Because it doesn't take itself it doesn't take itself seriously, and that goes a long way.
Yeah. For us.
Yeah. Scott, you picked this one. What's your double feature?
I'm so glad that my double feature is first because I wanted to bogart this. The house with the clock in its walls.
Son of a bitch! Son of a bitch!
I picked that specifically knowing that there was a 70% chance that you'd do it.
I didn't even think about it until I started to write the clock in the walls effect, and was like, "Ooh, I got one!" All right, Brian, you got to go next because I'm trying to think.
Dude, I don't know, man. The possession. I'm gonna do the possession.
Like possession, like the one with
the Sam Raimi. Yeah, Sam Raimi one.
Wait, Sam Raimi did Possession?
Yeah.
Probably not the one you're thinking of from the 80s.
No. This is like 2008,
The
I think.
Possession.
He might have produced it.
The Possession from 2012.
Yeah. Haunted object brought home.
You could just do Annabelle.
I know, but I at least enjoyed The Possession. It wasn't a good movie.
Should I watch
enjoyed
it?
If you have a free day, it's not great, but it's a movie for sure. You know, it held my interest. I almost went lazy with the lamp from Amityville because it's got like one of the coolest pictures online.
All right, so I will go. So since the biggest thing that I remember about this movie is that image on the back of the box, I'm gonna go with another movie that had an infamous person's face getting kind of melted off, and I'm just gonna go with 1988's The Blob as my double feature.
Cool.
That would be actually a really fun double feature because they both have a lot of gruesomeness in them, and they also have kind of that same lighthearted aspect to them. Because like The Blob 1988 is really, really silly.
It is, and but I think it would also be. I would save The Blob for second.
Oh yeah,
because I think it moves a lot quicker than Amityville. So like Amityville, you kind of like lull yourself in, and it's like kind of slower, but like when it gets going, it gets going. The Blob, it's like you just got to wait 20 minutes for this blob to land, and then it's just practical effects for the next hour and 10.
It's so good.
So how about something good from this past week? Let's end on a positive note.
I got nothing, to be honest.
Yeah, I haven't watched anything good.
Yeah.
Well, then that makes this awkward because I also didn't have anything. So I was just going to say that there's a really great podcast that you should check out called Cool De La Podcast.
Cool De La. Cool De La.
Cool De La. So Brian, how about you talk about your new podcast?
So yeah, I have this other podcast I'm doing. It is virtually impossible to market because it's really a podcast about nothing.
I work for Seinfeld.
It did work for Seinfeld. I'm really excited with the people that actually enjoyed it because, to be honest, this podcast was just me and a friend that has really been by my side since like 7th grade. That he's got a wife and kid, and I'm getting married, and he lives in Delaware, and I live in Florida, and like life was really pulling us apart. So the whole basis of this podcast is just an excuse to talk to each other once a week. So yeah, check it out. I don't know.
I do.
I mean, you got some hot takes in there. Your keto diet hot take made me laugh.
Yeah, Khalil. The next episode coming up, Khalil just reads a list of black stereotypes and debunks all of them, and it is my favorite thing in the world. It's my favorite thing because he keeps asking me my opinion, and I'm like, no, stop. Nobody wants to hear.
I will have to say one thing that I was happy with. This is not my usual because I know that if Brian has trouble marketing his podcast, it's going to be even harder for me to market this on our podcast. But there's a band that I like a lot. It's a tech death band called Ultra Beast, and they have a side project called Flub. And they came out with an EP relatively recently, and it's even techier and weirder than Ultra Beast, and I've been enjoying it quite a bit because I like music that sounds like two guitarists in a room and they're in the same key but don't know what the other person's doing. So yeah, if you like that kind of weirdness, listen to Flub.
I will be checking that out.
No, you won't.
Get a vibe of what you're talking about.
You don't know. I take your opinion a lot. I have what is it, Necrogoblin? I have
Necrogoblicon?
Yeah, Necrogoblicon. I have that in my playlist, and I love the one song that you shared. I should. Is it
Just as Goblins?
No. Fuck. What the hell was it? Let me just go to the playlist so I can tell you.
Just as Goblins is a hilarious song. I think that's the best song.
Then I'll have to check it out. Killing Time and Space is what I have.
Oh no, yeah, that's a good song, but no. Their best song on that new record, Welcome to Bonkers, is definitely Dressed as Goblins because there's a part where because the half of the song is just the guy screaming dressed as goblins back like over and over and over again. But then there's a great part where he laughs, like he goes, ha ha ha, what a fucking joke. And it's really funny because I think about my life. There you go.
All right, well, that was us talking about 1992's Amityville 1992. It's about time, as well as our focus on Keanu Reeves, such a good dude. We will be back next week with a special guest, and we'll be talking about a film that involves a couple little guys that we've talked about before, but this time they're fighting aliens instead of Nazis. I'm pretty sure you know what we're talking about. Strap in. It's going to be a good time. Also, go and hit up our Patreon at patreon.com/HMM podcast and all of our social media feeds at HMM podcast. So that's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and our website, hmmpodcast.com. At the time that this is coming out, it's around August, and I am just doing the whole convention circuit, baby. So at the time that you're listening to this, I'm in Virginia for the Scares That Care convention. Come by, say hello. Then in 2 weeks, I'm going to be at Monster Mania in Cherry Hill. Come by, say hello. Then at the end of the month, we'll be at Creature Feature. We released an interview with the creator of Creature Feature, Craig and Sandy. Go ahead and check that out as well. Maybe all three of us will be there. Maybe at least two of us will be there. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. We're not good at planning these things that far in advance. But it's going to be a good time. There will definitely be panels featuring me. I've still got to talk to the Jersey Ghouls. They might be hearing this and saying, Matt still hasn't talked to me. Reach out to me. I'm sorry. About them also doing a bunch of panels. But we're going to have a good time in Gettysburg for the second time this year. Gettysburg is a dope-ass city for conventions, I've discovered. Anyway, that is all. I've got to go because it's been a long time of recording these episodes. Oh, man, I can't stop talking. Bye!
How do you guys fart? I have a question. How do you both fart?
I push and it comes out.
It sneaks up on me.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network. You're listening to the Geekscape Network.